I read a lot of books in May, but also some not so good. Hello everyone, my name is April. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to if you've never been here before. Today we're going to be doing my May wrap up. I didn't read as many books as I thought I was going to be reading, but you know what? It is what it is. I got a little sick in the middle of May and that made me just not want to read it all. Does anybody else do that? Sometimes I just don't want to read when I don't feel good. I still got through 13 books, which is exactly my average. So, well, 12 books. We'll just go with 12. Let's get into that right now. We'll just get the DNF out of the way. I did not finish Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. In fact, I literally got maybe half a chapter before I decided that I just was not in the mood for this. It is a contemporary rom-com romance set in the Napa Valley. That's all I really know about it, and I just wasn't in the mood for it this month. So I've been absolutely loving my fantasy romances and my historical romances, and I'm kind of set in those ways right now. So I should have knew that I wasn't going to be in the mood for this. However, what I was in the mood for was my first 5-star read of the month, No Getting Over You by M.L. Eliza. So last month I read a book by M.L. Eliza that just, it was so ridiculous. I loved it, every bit of it, and this is no exception. No Getting Over You is about a girl traipsing through the woods and she falls into a hole and blacks out, and then a sweet, kind little ogre who is very lonely and needing a friend comes upon her and decides to take her in, patch her up, and then they fall in love together. And it was just so sweet. I loved every minute of it. It's a novella, so it's very short. I highly recommend it. It was just so cozy and so adorable. Oh, he's also a virginal ogre hero, okay? It just made for such a great book that y'all need to read it, okay? Plus, how can you not like the pun in the title? Like, I love puns in the title. It's great. After I read that, I did do a reading vlog of 3 brand new historical romances. I'll link that up in the cards, but I read The Duchess Takes a Husband by Harper St. George, which I gave 4 stars. I also read An Island Princess Starts a Scandal, which I also gave 4 stars. And then also His Study in Scandal, which I gave 2 stars, unfortunately. I still love Megan Frampton. I just don't think this was the book for me. And if you watch that vlog, you can probably find out why. Another historical romance that I was really looking forward to this month but didn't quite hit it was The Counterfeit Scourge by Lorraine Heath. I don't know what it is about Lorraine Heath's books. They're not getting me. They're not getting me. I'm always curious about them, but they're just not quite reaching it for me. I still gave it a 3-star. It was good. It just wasn't the best. So in this book, you have a fake rake. He's actually helping women get a divorce and get out of bad marriages by, you know, making sure everybody knows that he's sleeping with them, but he's really not. And then she is tasked to be a spy on him by one of the other husbands to get information so that way he is granted a divorce. There was a lot of time spent in the beginning of this book, and I kind of was more interested in the murder mystery plot towards the second half and the end of it. I felt like I could have used more of that instead. That's all. The next book that I read is The Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown. Highly recommend this audiobook. It was real good. This book is about Jacqueline, who is acting captain on a spaceship that is limping back home to Earth after a failed colonization mission. While they're limping back home, something or someone is killing off people on the ship, and it's up to Jacqueline and her crew to figure out who or what that is. If you like those claustrophobic horror sci-fi books, this is one for you. It was also felt very much like a retelling of one of my favorite sci-fi horror movies. I'm not gonna say which one because I think it gives it away, but it was So action-packed. It's short. It's another short novel. I thought it was a full-length book, but actually it's under 300 pages. But it was great. Like, I was riveted on my seat for the entire time. And the narrator for this on the audiobook, so good. So good. Highly recommend. The next book that I read was Say You Love Me, and it was again another 2-star book for me. Crystal and I talked at length about this book, and I will also link that live show up in the cards for you if you want to check it out. However, this is another Mallory Anderson book from Johanna Lindsey. My biggest problem with this book is that 15 chapters in, the 2 main leads barely have talked, like barely talked at all. I think Johanna Lindsey does this on purpose, but she focuses a lot on the familial aspects of her books. And to me, it's just starting to be a little too much. When I read a romance, I want to focus more on the romance. And it's weird to say, but this book didn't really get good until the kidnapping happened. And then it became like a suspense thriller type book. That part was great, but leading up to that, I was kind of just bored, and I just don't believe in this couple. I think they won't make it. This had a lot of issues. I'm still excited to read more from Johanna Lindsey, and I will. We are still moving on with a book a month from this particular series. So if you want to join us, make sure you do. We have a live discussion every month at the end of the month about this, and I will also make sure I list a link of that because I keep forgetting to do that. So after that kind of bad book, I read another kind of great book. This one was What Hunts Inside the Shadows by Harper L. Woods. So What Hunts Inside the Shadows starts exactly where the last book left off, and you are kind of following Estrella and the main dude. I don't know if I could say. But yeah, I really have been enjoying this one. Again, these are just really fun fantasy romances and very spicy. Let's be honest. I read it mostly for the spice, but also it has a really good plot in it. And there's a lot of twists and turns and evil dudes, and I have been enjoying it. It's just a really fun series. I can't wait for the 3rd one, especially after the cliffhanger of the 2nd one. I love a good cliffhanger. After that, another 4 stars. I'm telling you, I had a lot of 4 stars this month. It was The Alien's Prize by Zoe Draven. If you love curvy heroines, if you love interesting alien anatomy, and plenty of you're my mate talk, you will love this, okay? This was a good one. So in this, you have the hero. His name is Varaxon. Don't ask me how to say all these names because it's gonna be a terrible, terrible pronunciation of everybody. But his species is dying out. So he goes to this like black market type place, and he has to fight to the death in order to take one of these naked women who are standing on a podium back home with him. Right away, he locks eyes with Kate, and which he can't say Kate. He says Cat, and says, "You're my mate, I'm gonna take you," kills a big monster immediately, and then just kind of like caveman style flings her over his shoulder and takes it back to his spaceship and his home planet. And he's like, I'm gonna take you back and make babies with you because we need to. It kind of goes from there. Kate, of course, is like, "The hell you will." Keeps trying to get away from him, but she's also has this incredible attraction to him, and it was just a really good time. I really enjoyed it. Zoe Draven is the author of the Captive of the Horde King series, and this is like her novella series. Again, they're more human-like aliens, but they all have interesting anatomy that makes for a really fun, spicy time. If you love alien sci-fi romances, definitely check this one out if you haven't done so already. After that, I read a 3-star book, and I cannot believe I gave this one 3 stars, but it was A Kingdom of Vows and Venom. Y'all know I have loved this series. Prince Evren is my prince for all time. However, I got about halfway in this book and then the real spicy times came into play and I was like, oh, it's a sex intermission. That's cool. I'm down with that. We could use a break. However, that intermission turned into the entire second half of the book. And while I'm not mad at that, I love a good spicy time. I love a good spicy novel. It's basically why I read these. It just got really repetitive, like very, very repetitive. Nothing new was happening, no new positions even. And then we were promised something that never came to fruition and I just got kind of disappointed. I still really, really love these books. Like if I felt guilty about it, I'd call it a guilty pleasure, but I just don't. It's just one of those books that I just freaking love. And I know not a lot of other people do, but you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna highly recommend these every time if you want a spicy fantasy romance that is very little plot. Okay? If you don't want a lot of plot or a lot of world building like most epic fantasy romances have, you just don't have time for that. This is the story for you. You want to get down to the spicy times? This book does it, okay? I don't care. It was a 3-star that I really still enjoyed, and there's a 4th book coming out. I for sure will pick it up. The next book I read was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I really don't think you can go anywhere without hearing about this book right now. In fact, it's this nice sprayed edge one that I have on my shelf. I loved this book and I gave it 4 stars. Let's start there, okay? We'll start with what I loved about the book. Oh, actually, let's start with what it's about. This book is about Violet, who has studied her entire life to be a scribe. However, her big bad mother, who is general of the entire Dragon Rider army, said, hell no, you're gonna be a Dragon Rider, okay? Which would be fine. However, if she doesn't make it as a Dragon Rider, she dies. Why your mother would want to send you into that, you find out in this book. Or at least I think you will. Anyways, Violet has a condition where she has very weak limbs and joints. So nobody thinks she's gonna make it as Dragon Rider. Everybody underestimates her, and that gives her something to prove. This is like a military school where they're training people. It's kind of like boot camp to be Dragon Riders, and the Dragon Riders help protect the kingdom from the Griffins, which is another kingdom. And in this school, I guess it's all the typical school antics. You have the bully, you have the bad boy, pretty boy, you know, but all with these higher stakes of that everyone can kill you at any moment. In fact, everything is against you and everything is set up in a way that you really might die. In fact, half of the class that she goes into dies. Why? I just didn't understand. I think that was my biggest gripe about this book, is that you need supportive people in war and this school is just killing them all off. I mean, you need cooks. You know, you need scribes. You need people to do your laundry. You need people to maintenance. You know, you also need like just other people. There's so many. Why are you killing them off? That was one of my biggest questions with this. And it was like, I know they're doing it for fantasy romance reasons and to have these like super high stakes, but it was just like odd. Yeah. However, what I really loved about this book is I really enjoyed the plot and the pacing of this. I think it was paced really well, and it's written in a way that builds tension. In fact, sometimes the tension is built sentence over sentence, and then other times the tension just ebbs and flows throughout the story, and I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed just watching Violet and her really like amazing brain figure out how she's gonna get through these trials when she knows she is not strong enough, so she has to find other ways of completing her tasks without using her brute strength. And I really loved that part about it. Another really great thing about this story is that the plot is very YA in a sense that it's not overly complex, even though it's complicated. There are definitely layers to the story, but it's written in a very easy to swallow way. However, I want to make this known that this is not a YA book. This definitely has adult themes, not only with murdering people and death, but also there are spicy scenes in this. And I can only assume it will get more so as more books are coming out for it. So overall, I really loved Fourth Wing. This is set up in a way where I gotta find out what happens more. Like, I feel like later books are gonna give you all those answers that you have questions to, and I cannot wait to find out all about it. And the last book I read is The Book of G by Lily Archer, and I gave it 4 stars, but the more and more I think about it, I think this is another 5-star book for me. In my review on Goodreads, I really didn't say any criticisms of it. And thinking back, I really don't have any. So anyways, if you don't know what this book is about, which most of you probably don't, this is a Gaston redemption story. The question this book asks is, what if Gaston did not fall to his death at the end of Beauty and the Beast? What if he's alive? What happens to him? And that is what this book is all about. Gaston, or G, falls into a river, is completely mangled on one side of his face, and loses all memory of himself. So he has amnesia. An old lady finds him in the river, heals him up, and while he's unconscious, the Lady of the Water tells him to gain back what he's lost, he must do this quest. So this is a quest romance with Gaston and someone else. The someone else is Charlie, which Charlie is a stable boy, but Charlie really isn't a stable boy. Charlie is a woman undercover, and you figure out what those reasons are as the book progresses. G is exactly who you think Gaston would be. He is arrogant, he is egotistical, and he is all out for himself. He reluctantly, gets on these sidetracked quests to kill these monsters, which he doesn't really want to. He's like, my quest is over here, y'all have fun with that, and I'm gonna go this way. But it makes for such an enjoyable time. The banter in this between him and Charlie are just, it's so great. He's so arrogant. Like, his face is hideously monstrous to the point where people scream and run away from him. And he always is like to Charlie, I mean, look at this face. How can you resist me? That's a lot of his lines in the book. And it was just really funny. If you've read a Lily Archer book, she has this signature humor that I really love. And this is a road trip romance, one horse the entire time. There's a lot of time spent on one horse. As they're traveling along the countryside to go to this place, they're encountering different things and different creatures they have to overcome. And then also this budding romance between G and Charlie it's just so great because Charlie just has this animosity for him because he's not a good guy. He's not a good guy. And Charlie is a good person. However, she also has her own secrets. So this was just a really enjoyable book. In the book, if you read this on Kindle or Kindle Unlimited, there are these really beautiful illustrations throughout the book, just kind of sprinkled in, which are also so lovely and so pretty. I really loved those. In fact, I have a paperback copy of the book, but I really wish I had one with those illustrations in it. I really do. This story was just so unique to me. I haven't read a retelling with a Gaston redemption arc before, and I'm really kind of over Beauty and the Beast. So I think that's why also I really loved this one. And also the whole time I'm reading this, I'm just picturing, you know that show Once Upon a Time? Like with all the Disney characters and how they have different stories and that kind of thing in this little small town world. I was picturing Gaston in that world, like in that TV show. Like this would have been a great element to that TV show. But sad days, that show is over, so we won't be getting any of that. However, I can just picture it with this book. Those are all the books that I read for May. Some really great ones, some not so great ones. Let me know if you have read any of these in the comments below, or if maybe you're interested in reading them after watching this. If you are not subscribed to my channel, I do new videos every Mondays and Fridays. And thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.